I spent in excess of 3 decades in the insurance space in various progressive roles. And during that time, I've had the privilege and the opportunity to serve in leadership, training and development, coaching, mentoring, being responsible for results, and being driven to get results and determined to get those results. And so after all this time, I recognized that a lot of the work that I did was a game changer. It was new to the organization. We never thought of that, but thank you. Whether it was even starting a network for leaders to support leaders, or designing a new audit tool that was rolled out across different branches across Canada. It showed that I have the ability to think outside the box, to come up with solutions that would improve processes, would reduce waste, increase efficiencies. And so that's how I got from there to here, because in the last 10 years or so, I ran a small office myself with a portfolio of clients while volunteering with coaching and mentoring others and helping other people to build their business. And so insurance is a space where, depending where you're working, and for myself in property casualty, you can actually get burnt out after a while, with the competing priorities that you have to deal with. And so I decided after quite some time at it, building my own portfolio, which is my portfolio of clients 100% owned, that I could sell whenever I was ready. I decided to wrap that up and seek an opportunity where I can help another organization to achieve their excellence in living their brand. So I looked at joining an insurance entity as a business development manager. And I went for the interview, and the CEO, who was not supposed to be in the room, showed up in the room. Well, by the time this interview was over, she said, "This is not the job for you. I'm going to custom create a role for you, and I'm going to send it to you before the day is out." Okay. So she did that. She kept her word. But then we regrouped to talk about this job description. And she said, you shouldn't be anybody's employee. You need to be independent so that you can help more companies to achieve, because you're really good at what you do. Become a consultant and I'll be your first client. And that's how I pivoted to being a consultant. I had every intention of staying within the insurance space, of course, but I wasn't ready to actually be a consultant, because for those people who know me in my inner circle, I am that learning is a lifelong process girl. I'm always in school. I want all these letters behind my name, and I want to be formally educated in everything that I do. A lot of things I learn on the job, I read books, I go to seminars, I have all different certificates in my office. But I was like, if I'm going to be a consultant now, off to school I go. And I did. And so that's how I got here. They're still my clients today. And that's how I pivoted. I think it says it in my, I like to call it my position statement, which is I help organizations to achieve operational excellence that reflects their brand statement and improves the bottom line. And so with that, it means, getting into an organization where you help them understand their culture, or even redefine what that culture is. Employee engagement, doing the research, finding better ways to do things more efficiently. Engaging others in the process is a big thing. Because you can have all these ideas in your head, but if someone hasn't bought into it, it doesn't mean anything. You'll get paid because you're on the clock. But getting people to take ownership and buy into something that you have recommended or proposed, and it gets accepted, and you watch that organization evolve to become a better place, that's a win for me. And then I just rinse and repeat. In my early years, I adopted this phrase, and it says, become a student of change, because it's the only thing that will remain constant. And that is, I can relate to it on a personal level. It's part of what keeps me learning new things. And I believe that I'll give you a story, and maybe that will bring it home. You know, there's a phrase that says, if you make your bed, you lie in it. Okay? I used to believe that. And then I went through a phase in my life, in my previous marriage, where I took that on. Okay, you're married for life, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer. I made this bed, went against my parents' wise counsel that said, don't get married to this gentleman. Do it. No, I was in love when young, and I knew everything. And so I made that bed and I lied in it. And one day I had a haha moment that said, wait a minute. If you make your bed, you don't have to lie in it. You can get up and make the bed again. So I was able to use that to walk away and to use that as a stepping stone to a lot of things that I do today. And so you asked what inspires me to be that change maker. It's me knowing what it takes from within to be a part of the change, to lead that change. And personal experience is a way of teaching us so many things in the professional world. And bringing it home to the professional world, I remember when I had direct reports as a team manager in one of the insurance companies, I went in there and I like to stir things up and change things up a little bit. And I realized that they're called underwriters who make the decision. So for example, if you were to, your broker submitted an application for you for your new car insurance or your house insurance, it comes in, the risk gets reviewed and approved, or if it doesn't fit, they would call in to say, this doesn't fit your guideline, but can you write it in, So the underwriters in-house would come looking to me as their manager for the answer. What should I tell the broker? Sherene is having none of that. So I made sure that I developed a process where, one, I tell my staff, I am not your problem solver. I don't solve problems around here. I'm a solution picker. So for every business case that you have, when you come to my office, you're coming with two solutions. You've got to get your thinking cap on. You come to me, tell me what you think you should tell the broker, why we should write this risk, why we should take the chance with this account. Then we can discuss which of your two recommendations we will go with. That's a big change. That was a big change for them. And it empowered them. It motivated them. I don't give you the answers. I help you to find the answers, And so that's the mindset that I use, and that's the inspiration. When I see other people really grow and develop from the coaching and the counseling that you give them and the information, they can develop their own expertise and experience by you not giving them the fish, but teaching them how to fish. And it's so much better when they look at their performance reviews and know that they had a goal and they met that goal. So that's inspiration for me. And I continue to make change everywhere I can. Thank you. That was long, but I hope you got it. So I'm trying to say. Well, I've been self-employed for, I would say, at least 15 years now. Okay. And the biggest lesson I learned early on is never depend on family and friends to grow your business. For me, that's the biggest one. And with that, I would tell others the same. You've got to put in the work. You've got to put in the work, and don't rely on your familiar circles. Because in that familiar circle, while there are well-wishers, there are well-diggers. Okay? And there are people who, may seem like they are happy and supportive. And that's not the reality. It's just the facade that people wear, And so, and when people smile with you, it doesn't mean they're smiling with you always. But having said all that, I also, one of the other lessons I learned was to have a code of ethics that I abide by, no matter what the circumstance. If it means I have to walk away from business because it doesn't meet my ethical standards, that's okay. And I had coined this acronym for myself, SITE. And I'd always say to prospects and customers, I've got my sight on you, which is SIGHT, but it's SITE, which is service, integrity, trust, and strong ethics. Okay? So if you develop your value system and you're consistent about your value system, then people will respect that. And so, as I said, that's one lesson I learned, to be consistent. And even if it means you have to walk away, and don't depend on family and friends to make it. Challenge in the insurance space, especially property and casualty, it is similar to a lot of other service industries. The biggest one on everybody's list is high attrition rates. There's a lot of competition in that space. And so you can be, what's the word I'm looking for? You can be, it's on the tip of my tongue. But okay, money will make people move. Okay? And so, but it doesn't mean the grass is greener on the other side. And what you find is that people will walk away to go to the competition because they're going to pay you $10,000 more, but they're just as miserable. And they're not putting in the work to achieve, to be personally engaged in the work and to be fulfilled in their lives. And so they're miserable after a while. Sometimes they come running back to where they came from to go to this other place. Another thing is with insurance, people are burnt out a little bit. So more people are quitting the industry. So there's a lot of vacancies in the insurance space right now. People have gotten used to working from home during the pandemic. And so it's a challenge getting people to go back to the office because they've proven, and the data shows, I can do the same work remotely. Why do I need to come to the office? And so that's a big challenge, getting people to get into the office, adapt to the hybrid model, which means, you got to be in the office 2 or 3 days a week. You get work from home the other day. They want to work from home 100%. But in that service sector, you need to have real-time collaborations. People need to be together more often. And so our external customers will suffer because they're not getting, the quick turnaround time that they're expecting, because people will be in home and they will not answer the phone, they're off the queue. And after people get comfortable, of course, the results start to show that the productivity levels have now fallen. There's exceptions to it because there's people who say, you know what, I don't want to go back to the office, so I'm going to keep my production up so that they'll keep me at home. But other people have dropped their guard, and there's consequences for that. And so companies are now scrambling to find ways to entice people back to the office without making it feel like, it's micromanaging. But the fact of the matter is, this is a business where you have to be present. You have to, can you imagine, put yourself in the picture. You have business insurance that you need a quote on, okay? You reach out to a broker and you're waiting 24 hours, 48 hours. It's been 3 days. I haven't gotten my quote. I need to go register my stuff. I need to get started. My client's asking me for my insurance certificate, but I'm waiting for my broker. And your broker is waiting for the insurance company, right? And the insurance company is waiting on the employee who's dragging their leg because, hey, I'm only doing 5 approvals today. This can wait till tomorrow. And so turnaround times get longer, and it affects everyone. They go online, they give Google reviews, and from a 5-star to a 1-star, you, the customer, is upset, and you're going to give them, your broker, a bad review because you didn't deal with the company. You know nothing about the company, but you know about the person you asked to give you this quote. So it's a domino effect, right? So that continues to be an issue. Another issue in that space is outdated systems. Portals, they call them portals, are used a lot to communicate between the broker office that writes the business and the insurance company that issues the business. And they call it EDI, the electronic interface, download interface, where once the policy is issued, it dumps into the broker system, and then they can and updates their client relationship management system. Now, if your database is not compatible with the insurance company's database, then there's all kinds of what we call them EDI errors, right? And frustration, and this isn't working, and where did it go? It's sitting in cyberspace, I can't find it. And that continues to be a challenge. And even when Alex and I went to the insurance meet the underwriter night the other day, there was actually one insurance company where the representative was actually telling us that was their problem today. They have what they call legacy systems, which is an older system, and they're having so many problems because the interface is not working, right? And I'm like, we can help, So that's I guess I gave you enough problems that they're having. Oh wow. There are so many models out there, but one of my favorites is called ARCS, ARCS, okay? And what ARCS mean, so that's ARCS, and it means algorithmic representation to catalyze satisfaction. Algorithmic representation to catalyze satisfaction. And so the ARCS model has 7 pieces that are called the 7 I's of ARCS. But before I get into that, just for you to understand a little bit better, that the dictionary meaning of the word algorithm it's a process or a set of rules to be followed in calculation or other problem-solving operations. Okay, so that's the algorithm part of it. Now, I said representation. So how is that representation? And then catalyzation. What are we catalyzing? Is it it's a satisfaction level? Okay, and so we can go down a little further and say, satisfaction level are we categorizing? And that would be both your internal and your external stakeholders. Because while you want to have happy employees, who are engaged in fulfilling their work, your external customers who are bringing you business also need to be satisfied. Okay. So that's just given to you high level. And so the 7 pieces of arcs, I'll tell you those quickly. The first is information gathering. So you want to gather as much information as possible from your stakeholders, from your customers, from your employees. And you're going to use that information as a benchmark to see what your current status is. So that's the first I, information. Your next I is to identify factors. So you're going to separate the key anomalies, right? And you're going to see what are the different factors that's affecting based on the information that was gathered. Okay? And then you're going to, once you identify the factors, we're going to get to the third I, which is to inspect the cause. What's causing this to happen? So you're looking at those same key anomalies, and together you're going to try to understand, the dynamics rather than looking at them independently. So you're putting everything together, inspecting what's causing this, right? You're going to look at them as a group. Then we're going to go into ideate. So idea with the TE. So when you go to ideate, you're going to take action. You're going to get ideas. You're going to set objectives. You're going to target the audience. And then you're going to position yourself. Now, in ideating, you're going to be getting ideas, of course, from the stakeholders, both internal and external. So you'll be asking questions like, what are we doing well? What are we not doing well? Right? And how is that affecting you? What's the outcome? Among other things. Again, this is high level. So we have done 4: information, identified the factors, we're inspecting the cause, and then we're getting the ideas from our stakeholders. Now, then we have to develop an internal marketing strategy. Okay, so that's number 5. And with the internal marketing strategy, of course, we're going to implement the principles of marketing. I mean, some people may think about just a digital marketing and it's for the outside world, but you're marketing to your internal customers too, right? Because you got to keep them happy. So you're going to do your internal marketing strategy, whatever that looks like based on the business that you're in. And then you're going to implement based on what those results are. So we're at the 6th I now, which is implementation. So you're going to work with people again and work through people to bring about those changes. Okay? So remember, I called it the ARCS model. Algorithmic, representation, catalyze satisfaction. And then after all that is done, we're on to the 7th I. Can you guess what that is? We've done everything else. We have gathered the information. We've identified all the factors. We've inspected what's causing this. Now we've got ideas on the table. We're going to go to internal marketing. Well, it's an I. Then we're going to implement. We're going to implement. What happens after we implement? We got to do something. All right, I'll give you a phrase and it might give you the answer, because the answer is one word in that phrase. People respect what you inspect. Inspect? That's right. We're going to inspect success. How did all this work out in the end? So you're at the end, you're going to now gather information again, from that triad of stability, the same people you started with, the stakeholders, the customers, your employees, compare it against the benchmark that you had set, and what was the result. Then we rinse and repeat. So there you have it. Okay. So yeah, that's the model I like, that gives you those 7 steps, and you're bound to have success because it's an inclusive process. I find a lot of companies still go with, the C-suite of leaders sit in a room and decide what's going to happen. Of course, you can have that big goal, but to achieve the goal, you have to break it down into bite-sized pieces. And to do that, you have to include people. You're more successful when you are inclusive of the people who work for you. I always say, we're only as good as the people who work for us. And you're only as strong as your weakest link. If you give people all these things on the platter and say, this is what we're doing today, go do it. Who said? I can walk out the door. I can go get another job. I don't have to do it. But when people are part of the process and they can identify, I'm glad they asked. I'm glad I had an opportunity to contribute. These people are more loyal. They're going to want to stay. And a lot more leaders and company personnel in the senior suite need to hear this. I can't wait to get out there to tell them they need to redesign and refresh and rewind and come again. Let's solve some of these issues. But remember, I don't solve problems. I'm a solution speaker. Yes, I hope I have not bored you, but no. That's my ARCS model that I absolutely love. There's others, but this is my favorite one. It depends on how old you are, because if you're just starting out, the order of importance, even though all important, may differ. But I'm going to respond to this question based on the years of experience under my belt. I've lived long and I've learned much. Okay? So, first piece of advice, do your research. Make sure the service or the product that you're offering, that there's a need for it. Okay? And if you've identified there's a need for it, make sure there continues to be a need for it. Find out what your competitors are doing and do it better. What's that value-added service? What is that competitive edge that you're going to have that's going to make people want to try you, buy you, and then buy only you? What are you going to do different, right? The other thing is you've got to be passionate. Do something. Starting a business just because you heard somebody say you can make lots of money, those businesses don't always stand the test of time. So it's great to do something that you're passionate about. My 3 Ps are people, passion, process. Okay? And so if I absolutely love what I do, I want to do this until I close my eyes, which is to help create happy workplaces and happy individuals, happy people, inside and outside the workplace. Because, when you develop that energy within your workspace, it goes off in the rest of your life too, right? So absolutely have passion. That's something I would tell them. Don't depend on luck to get you through. My ex-husband told me something that I always remember in the early years. Even though he's my ex, we don't malice, it's still conversational. He said this to me and I'll never forget it. Success is where opportunity meets preparedness. Okay? So you have to put in the work. You have to be ready if an opportunity comes. It's like the other day I caught myself in the store talking to someone, but it was about my husband's business. And they asked me for a card. Well, of course I had my card, but I didn't have his card, but I'm promoting his business. I just take my card and put that information on it, I felt so silly because I wasn't prepared, but I was promoting, and so that was just a reminder for me. You have to have both cards all the time, Sherene. So yes.